Hello out there, YouTubers, and welcome to PE Slick Podcast. I'm your host, Matt here. Each week I'm going to bring you something different in terms of leadership, ministering, entertainment, book authoring, and much more. But before we begin each time, I'm going to be airing a classic throwback commercial from back in the 80s or 90s or 2000s for my personal liking. Stay tuned.
Wanna give yourself a treat? You want a taste that can't be beat? Have a little sunshine, sunshine. Have a bunch, you can have it all. You're having no cholesterol. Have a little sunshine, sunshine. Just about every cookie and cracker Sunshine makes has absolutely no cholesterol. Now what could be better than sunshine? Have a little sunshine. Have a little sunshine. Have a little sunshine.
And we're back with PE Slick. I'm your host, Ranger Matt. And joining me this week is a good friend of mine. His name is Chris Burns. I've had the pleasure of knowing Chris Burns since high school. We went to Woodlawn High together, and since then he's been a singer. He's done some acting, stage, and in films with me. And I'm pleased to have him come aboard. What's up, Chris?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Let's get things started here. Where are you from?
From West Baltimore. So I've lived on both West and East Baltimore, but I spent the majority of my life on the West Side, but I've been in my entire life in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay. And let's backtrack a little bit. So, when exactly did you know growing up that you wanted to become a singer? I mean, was singing something you always wanted to do? Did acting play a part of it? I mean, when exactly did you know that you wanted to get into this medium?
So I didn't really understand that I wanted to be a singer until my earliest memory of anything was watching Michael Jackson on TV. I remember one time I have like this really faint memory that I can't really do nothing with. I just have the image, but I was in a I was in someone's house. I think it was my one of my cousins' house, like one of my like older cousins, and my mom needed me and my brother to just be still, or she wanted to preoccupy us while she did something else. I can't really remember what it was, and I remember she had the VHS tape of the Michael Jackson history video playlist, and that was just the music video version of the because I don't know if you know, but on the official like hard copy disc, the first disc is all of his best hits, and then the second disc is the actual history album. So there was a music video list sorry, a music video version of that went along with the first disc, and she played that, and I remember um like watching him because before the very first time I heard Michael Jackson, I can remember it was my grandmother. She played actually it was the same album. She played the history the history album, but that was on a cassette tape, and I
Right.
first heard Scream, the song he does with his sister Janet. And I remember not really knowing who he was at first, but I just remember like loving the sound. But then watching the history video playlist was the first time I'd ever saw him that I remember, and watching all of these interesting videos and him dancing and singing and like him having fun, enjoying himself, really sparked something in me where I was like, well, I just have to be like him. And so I remember that was pretty much that was the jump off from there. And then from there, my aunt on my father's side, my father's sister, she introduced me to the like people like Usher and Justin Timberlake, and I think through her I discovered either through her or through TV through BET I discovered like B2K and Marcus Houston. But with her, I discovered Usher, Trey Songz, Justin Timberlake, and then that's when like Usher became another inspiration of mine. So like he's my second favorite artist ever. Um, even still today, I always love his music, and I guess that was like kind of birth or that was taken up on after my aunt, because my aunt's a huge fan of Usher, and a huge fan of Michael Jackson, a huge fan of all of that. And I loved her. I loved her musical taste. And even though at the time when I was younger, I liked rap. I liked rap and everything, but singing was always just like something that just I don't know. It was always like fun to do. Like when you would listen to like old school music, like Ronald Isley or The Temptations or Otis Redding, and the fact that you could like they always use because when I was younger, whenever I saw people singing, it was always the quarter girl, and the girls always liked it. The girls always liked the guy who could sing, so that would like make sense to me.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so like yeah, if you could sing and dance, they would always like to like watch you do that for hours on end. That just made sense. And I remember it always felt good to like play his music and sing all the time. So
Yeah.
that was the inspiration for that.
Yeah, I can remember myself, being in elementary school back then, and some of the guys, would play off some songs of the day. Remembering B2K and Marcus Houston, they would play off, and they'd be watching or they'd be doing some dance moves, and the guys would be trying to get their attention. And so yeah, you made me have a throwback just now when you said that.
Yes.
So you would pretty much consider Michael Jackson as an influence as to where you got to.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I never know how other people like view him whenever they just call him their influence or their inspiration. But to me, he was
Right.
I'm sorry, he still is like to me an outline of what an artist should strive to be. I always make this joke all the time that like we can't really like outdo like I for some reason believe any artist today in our today and age can like outrank Beyonce. I know that's like weird to say because like Beyonce has done a lot, and not to discredit her for what she's done for Black women, or I guess women in general. But for some reason, I'm under the impression that like artists like her and artists like what's someone else like artists like her, artists like Jay Z, for some reason, not can be out. Well, yeah, I said it can be outdone. But I feel like when I think about Michael Jackson, that can't be outdone at all. We could get close to it, but it can't be like outdone. So when I think of him as like an icon or a legend or an influencer, everyone has their opinions.
Right.
Everyone has their everyone has their little talks about it. So it's fine. But to me, in my subjective perspective, he's like the outline of what you want to strive for as far as like not just music, but if you want to take on that mantle and influence it. So yeah, because he like if you look at his spectrum, he's like touched all kinds of like music throughout
Right.
his entire life, and that's something I love too. That because well, even though now with what I'm doing now with like practicing with my sound and everything, from other artists that kind of inspire that, it always goes back to Michael because Michael did play with other stuff. Like when he was with his brothers, it was always like disco or New Jack Swing. Then when he gets older, everything was like really rock and heavy or poppy sometimes, or like a slow like he would do all kinds of things, and it was always like this incredible how his voice could match it. There's never a genre you could say where like Michael could sing in, and you can't say it doesn't fit the genre. Like if he's a rock star one day or a pop star or R&B star, it always fits, and I like that. I also wanted to like be able to dip and dive into those different kinds of pots of music and be able to play with it as well.
Right. So you've also done some acting. You've done some stage work. You've done some short films. You've done some short films with me. For those out there who know, I've done short films, and Chris has acted in Shaking Ground and Lethal Affairs, and he was the voiceover for my very first commercial, Ties. Um, what has acting been like for you, and what was it like working with me and other people that you work with when coming with me as well?
Um, that was really a really fun experience I had. Honestly, I like the fact that I was able to. I like the fact that I was able to do it. Honestly, first of all, that I had the time to do it, and that whatever system we had going on at the time, we was able to play with that and like kind of turn it into something else. That was always fun. It was
Right.
always fun. I can't remember where I said this. I said this on the behind the scenes of one of your of one of your movies. But I remember that one of the great things I liked about you or working with you in your process is that whether your execution of things, whether you are whether you know or not that the project is even ready to be filmed or not, you just go out and do it anyway. And that kind of speaks volumes now, because other artists have, well, who knows if it's even good or not, but people have things and ideas that they want to do, and they don't execute or do it because they're too busy still staring at the drawing board and asking themselves, is this ready or not? Is this ready yet to be seen by the public, or ready or not to be like put out there? And whenever someone asks anybody, whether I'm listening to a podcast or someone asks me, what should I do, or like how should I get started in this business of whatever you're doing, whatever, like whether it's YouTube or Twitch or anything in the media or music, I always say, just put it out there. Just start putting it out there. Like, people will eventually you'll get it, even when you don't know what you're doing entirely. Even if you know for a fact you still have some things to work on and tweak, just keep putting it out there. And that's one of the things that you do. I don't know if you ever, I don't know if you do that, or like if you know like that's the plan when you do it, but because like even in that system or in that routine, like you putting it out there is still getting you further and further, because like the more you do it, the more eyes get on it, the more ears hear what you're doing, and then you can start having conversations with other people that are in higher places that can give you advice on how to do things, or maybe some suggestions, or even like something where like someone will take you on as what's the word? Well, so someone can mentor you basically, and what you want to do. And that's all because you put yourself out there with your work, and with your work you're saying, this is something I love to do. This is something I want to continue doing, or it's something that makes me happy, and so I want to get better at it and see where I can take this. And so working with you is always great, because I know if anything, whether it's not the best that you've ever done for yourself or it is the best, execution will always follow it regardless. Like, it'll always get done. And that's what I always like. Because then, I mean, later on down the line, you can just tweak and everything and like change everything up and adjust yourself. You'll still put the action behind it. And that's always the greatest thing. And then the commitment as well, because I can only imagine how many times you look back at some of your old stuff and you said to yourself, this wasn't the best, but I'm glad that I did it though.
Oh yeah, and that's important. And that's how you grow. Even if whether you an artist or a filmmaker or either way, book artist, a lot of the times what you originally write may not be the final cut, and rewriting is something that helps you grow as an individual, especially in this medium. So I appreciate the compliments, man. It really did touch me, bro. Yeah, that's important to me. And I gotta tell you, one of the things that I considered as your best work out of everything we've done is we did a short film back in 2015 with Sherry McCain called A Person's Nightmare. That was kind of my lifetime movie, and because people that know Chris knows he's kind of the really calm type, the funny guy that can, blooper reel. If you watch my blooper reel within a minute, you're going to be laughing hysterically. And that was a really serious, hardcore role that you ever done that I thought was your best work.
Yeah, thank you. That was the first time we had ever did anything semi-serious. Well, sorry, I guess as serious as we could get.
Yeah.
Because the one we did, I think after that, what was it called? Whichever one where I was a detective.
So that would be Who Killed Felipe.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That was like a serious drama, but the one before that, A Person's Nightmare, was like the heaviest I had ever done, and the heaviest I think we had ever done together.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Look, listen to me. I raped you, all right? Okay? I took your innocence. I pushed you against your will. I made you do shit you can't even admit to yourself that you even liked. And if you don't do me a favor right now, I'm gonna do it again. To another innocent girl. Come on, Angie, do it. You're doing the world a favor. Do it. Come on, do it. Do it. Do it.
Even now, looking back on it, I wasn't quite sure if I did the best in that, but I know I wanted to like give my best and try. And it was perfect for range because, to my knowledge, I don't think I've done anything on camera like that in a production that seems really, because that was the same movie, that was the same short film movie. I was also acting with Randy.
Yeah.
Is that her name?
Randy Seeper said, yeah.
Yeah. So we did that with her too, and the entire time I'm nothing but like a manipulator and like a bad person, and the women here of this short film are the good people and the protagonists of the film. I'm just a nutcase. So that was pretty great to like be able to play that role, because I think in any other role I'm just either a side character or the good person trying to like do good for whatever. So that was good to it was different to do that.
Right. Yeah, it was a pleasure working with you and Randy and Sherry. I haven't talked to neither one of them in a while. I hope eventually if they find time they can hear this podcast and join for an episode and talk about their time and what they're currently doing, and hopefully we all can link up and do something. There was plans in the back of my mind to do a part 2 of that, because there was some scenes that was in the original script that we didn't shoot, but we went another direction, but it still worked out the best. And one thing I gotta say, Chris, is from because as I mentioned, I've known you since high school. You are a good singer, and you are a good actor, and at some point, I hope you. I mean, do you have plans to go to Hollywood and do something, as far as singing or acting, or both?
So that's interesting you say that, because I remember before I had the intentions. So I first told my mom that I wanted to be a singer at 14 years old, and I remember like where we were, not today, but I remember like where we were and like what we were doing when it happened. And in the same setting, she had told me that well, you can do whatever you want to do. You just have to finish high school first. And I remember at the time I didn't like to hear it. I didn't want that answer. The answer I wanted was because I think at the time I was under the impression that Chris Brown had stole my life, or like stole what I wanted to have as far as like a music career, because he came out, that was 2006. Well, when I saw him, and everything from playing basketball to being inspired by Michael Jackson, wanting to dance with Michael Jackson, to like to dancing, to the kind of music he did, like it all was like I wanted that exact same thing. Like, he stole my life. And so I remember before when I told my mom, I was like, yeah, so I want to be a singer. I wanted her to like kind of shut everything down around me that was like wasn't really important to me, which at the time was school, and like put me into programs and classes and everything and get me in front of people so I could start practicing and whatnot. But no, she was like, you got to finish school first and graduate. Once you graduate from high school, then you can pursue whatever you want to pursue. And so at the time, it didn't make sense to me, and I didn't like hearing that answer, to be honest. But I think it worked in the long run, because at that time, all I wanted was just to be famous and have fortune and whatnot. Now, it's more so about just having the talent of actually singing, having the talent of actually acting and doing other kind of stuff. I have tons of things that I want to learn and pick up now and start like working into my hands and into my muscle memory of becoming. And I don't really have a desire to push myself into certain things. I don't have a desire to like become an A-list celebrity. I just want to do it. Now, if I land there, but I won't say no. That's fine. But like, as of right now, I just want the talent. There are too many people who don't really have talent that are being praised all over the world right now. And it's really interesting to me how like that happens. And I don't know why I prefer to be that underrated artist. That underrated artist that you can't say he's not taking this seriously, or you can't say he doesn't really love his craft. Like artists that I wish was getting recognition the way that these other the no talent artists are getting a recognition now is crazy. And even at the same time, when I think about that, I'm often like, I think I like the fact that the artists that I really love, the ones that I don't go crazy for, aren't really known that much. They're starting to get their own hype going. But I like the fact that like these artists, these real authentic artists, not just from their singing, but from their production, from their songwriting to their subject matter. Because even now, like look at Chris Brown now. I mean, I still like him as an artist. I still respect him. He's great, and he does inspire me in a way. But there's no growth in his music so far. After a certain album, I think it was Fortune. I want to say it's Fortune. He kind of like stayed in the same lane and hasn't come out of that since. Like the recent album he came out with, kind of it's called Indigo. It's the same thing. I mean, it's still getting the party jumping. The girls love it. So I mean, whatever. But as far as like growth, I think the last time he had grown as an artist from one thing to the next was Fame, I believe, which is an album that I actually like really
Right.
love a lot. And I could be wrong. I could be like I could just be hearing I could be hearing that growth differently. And what I hear as growth could be stagnant to me in my mind. But when I like right now, my favorite artist is Gallant, and I don't know if you know who Gallant is, but Gallant is like is an up and coming new R&B singer, and he's already like said countless times. His new album is coming out this month, October 25th, and that'll be called Sweet Insomnia, and that'll be a follow up to his 2016 album Ology. Now, Ology was already great within his own, but he's already said multiple times he doesn't want to sound the same he did the way on Ology, and I love that. Artists like Anderson .Paak or Childish Gambino or Janelle Monáe, um, Jack Garrett. These artists, Hosier. These artists are like they push and challenge themselves to do things differently, and I love that. And it's always authentic, even if they don't get the plays that they deserve, the radio plays and whatnot. They still get their streamings on a certain platforms and everything, but
Right.
they're not being shoved in your face like the new whatever mumble rappers on the radio right now. And even though it sucks for them, it you can clearly see the difference. There's a difference between I want to have fun and in between I actually want to learn something and like kind of like have a great time playing music. Not at the same time, I don't really take away any credit away from the artist being put on the radio because unfortunately we kind of need that as far as the balance. But at the same time, I don't. I guess now I don't really care to be played on the radio anymore. I just want to be able to do it. I just want to be able to like. By the time I'm in my old age, I want to be able to say I went after it. I was a singer for a while. I did play all the instruments. I did produce things. I'll be fine as a songwriter. That'd be fine. I wouldn't mind like getting credit on writing songs for certain artists. So yeah, if you ask me now what I want to do in that lane, I would love to write a song for Usher or write a song for Neo or write a song for yeah that kind of thing. That'd be great. Being in the spotlight, that I mean it'll come with its own time, but it's not really something I'm striving for anymore.
Hey, y'all hear that out there, right, artists? You got a future songwriter here. You got the next. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen the Bobby Brown story and all that, where you had Teddy Riley who wrote the good songs he wrote, and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis wrote songs for New Edition and other groups, Janet Jackson's Control. And with Chris Burns coming on board with what he got, he's going to be the 2019 to 2020 of what they did in the 80s, man. I can see it now, bro. You got this.
Hopefully. I mean, we'll see when it happens, but
Yeah.
all I can do now is practice as much as I can and put myself out there, like I said. Well, like you're doing execution.
Yeah.
And that also goes for acting as well, because I do like outside of the short films I do with you, I also do want to get back on stage, in theaters, and whenever we get our things together, we need to go out to DC and jump into whatever's happening there and start playing with that as well, because
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, you've done some stage work as well. What was that experience like working on stage? I mean, were you Did it seem? I mean, because when we filmed and coming on camera, it's just the crew and the producer, and when you're on stage, it's people, your family. What was that? What's that experience like working on stage?
Um, it's great. It's I see why when it comes to acting, why it's important to both be on stage and on camera. There's there's tools you can take into both worlds that I really enjoy, and I don't know why, but I feel like I don't know if like 50-50 is always the balance. It might sound right, but I feel like you want to spend the majority of your time on stage and uh not many time in front of the camera. I have no idea why I think this is like the way to go, but like I was listening to something earlier, or no, a couple days ago, another podcast that pretty much like showed. Cause I think, okay, one of my favorite podcasts is Blurred Vision, and they did a recent episode for the movie Joker, and they were talking about like is it because like why was it that Joaquin Phoenix like able to bring such a deep personal hitting portrayal to the character Joker, and they was like questioning like did he do any stage work? Because all the British actors that you see now, Tom Hiddleston, Brendan Cumberbatch, Mark Strong, uh, Ben Mendelsohn, Ben Kingsley, all these like British act Tom Holland, all these British actors um, have all done the majority of their time on stage before coming to the camera. So
Right.
that's probably why I thought that like I'm thinking right now that's the best way to go. But I haven't done it as much. I've done one, I want to say one official theater production, and that was at Spotlighters, um, Audrey Hepburn, Audrey. I'm messing that up. Spotlighters Theater, which is a local theater spot on St. Paul in on St. Paul Street, and that was Jacqueline Hyde the musical, and that was like one of my favorite experiences ever of 2016. That was also beautiful. I loved it. It was great, and I wanted to. My plan was to do exactly what all my co-stars were doing around me, and they were like really dedicated to this. While I love the listening to the conversations of like while doing the play, they were already auditioning for other stuff, and they already had other stuff lined up, and like it was like once this production stopped, they were going into the next production, and that was just even like rehearsing their lines for the play we were in. They were already doing other songs and other scenes for some other play, and that was great. And I wanted to do the same thing. It was awesome. And then like it's just phenomenal. And then there's dancing because I also love to dance. It's a lot. It's a lot now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. I've never worked with stage before. I think I did one play back when I was in third grade, and
Good.
I messed up my lines like in the middle of the play with everybody looking at me, and I think at that point I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do a play again, but I support people that do stage play, and 'cause that's a lot of material dialect that you memorizing, and if you're doing one of them plays where you're doing that night after night after night, that's a lot. But I do give credit and points to those who are doing it, and I definitely give my pointers to you, bro. Now, about what we were talking about with music, so where have you, I mean, we both grew up in an era where it was, as you mentioned, it was Chris Brown had came out, and we came from an era that was still coming from the love songs kind of era where it was Ron Isley, Temptations, people that know I'm a New Edition fan, and that was kind of the era where they did love songs and the New Jack Swing. We're kind of in an era nowadays where rap has kind of taken over, and the hip hop and rap has kind of come into one. Where do you, as someone who sings and know music, because you mentioned that you support and know a lot of new actors, singers that's coming out. Where do you see the music hitting in going into 2020? Because when 2020 comes, it's going to be a whole new decade, like it was when 2010 came when we graduated. Where do you see that hitting it next year?
Um, that's it's hard to say because whatever I thought was happening this year kind of didn't happen at all.
Hmm.
I think. um, and it is weird because I don't really. I always try to take things in stride. As far as, or I try to. I'm now trying to have. I'm trying to gain more patience with the music scene that we have here, whether online from everywhere from YouTube to SoundCloud to on Apple, Spotify, Tidal. I don't know. Does Stitcher play music? I don't know. I don't know what they do, but the, like those, and then those on the radio as well. I try, and then even like local artists here, like local artists in here 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 in Baltimore. I try to do so. Another one of my favorite artists is NERD, and one of the members is Pharrell Williams. I look up to him a lot as far
Yeah.
as as far as someone who just the way he looks at music and contextualized music. And I remember between him, he was the main one who like kind of sparked it for me. He told me, so he didn't tell me. I felt like he was talking to me when he said it, but like he was in an interview. And he was talking about how like he listens to everything, and it doesn't matter if he likes it or not. What's important to him is what he can learn from the experience. From that alone, I kind of like shifted my outlook on music because we're in 2019. If you take me back like 2 years ago, I would have told you almost everything on the radio. I just don't like it all. It all sounds trash to me. It's the same. It's like it's people are like just shoving out blind money to like all these artists who don't really have any talent at the time. But then after that interview with Pharrell, I had to take a step back and evaluate myself, and then start to like loosen my grip and my patience on the music now today. Now, when I did that, I started listening to artists that I normally wouldn't listen to, and I mean I would listen to their albums, like not just singles, and even after even after the album, I would look at interviews and try to like find meanings between the songs and everything. And sometimes artists will actually talk about things and not really just be about the money or the fame or whatever, and like looking flashy. And Pharrell was right. You do learn some things from it, and it actually does. It brings because you can't like all right. So I'm not saying I'm trying to appeal to everybody, but when you mix and match with certain things, you never know what you can come up with, and you never know what you can spark when you do that. Certain artists like uh, well, actually, I mean, Pharrell himself, he dabbles and plays in all kinds of genres, no matter what it is. And I don't know if it's like is it because he's just such a lover of music, he'll be able to take he can just take things for what they were, as long as it's music or as long as because it's a freedom of expression. That's kind of like how he treats his Apple radio show Other Tone, which is a radio show I love so much. He he never wants to judge an artist of any kind, not just in music, but in anything. He doesn't want to judge an artist on what they've done. It's more he wants to understand how they felt when they did it. Because whatever you have in front of you, whatever you're dealing with, even if it is something about as simple and just talking about girls or whatever, I'm talking about money, a feeling brought that on, and now it's here because of that feeling. And he wants to understand where the artist is coming from when you feel it. Even if
Right.
it is pretty simple, he still wants to understand where it's from. And from there, I've taken that into my practice now, where even now when I don't really think the song isn't really going anywhere, I'll take my time with it. I'll be patient with it and listen to it. And I'm just like, you know what? I was wrong. This, I mean, this has something. I mean, at least, and if anything, at the bare minimum, just something I can jam to without really like having to think about much about whatever when I'm doing it. So that's what I love about it. And so I'm looking forward to that now,
Right.
um, in the coming years because whether you know it or not, sometimes even the people, even the sources from music to poetry to songwriting to movies, directing, even the ones you don't really think can teach you anything, can really teach you a lot. And I've learned that now from taking my time and taking the advice from Pharrell. So it makes sense, especially if you want to be in the music business. I could wind up with a job like doing like producing for a rapper that I don't really particularly like, but then wind up learning so much about this person, and it could like help me push my career into something I never thought it could like push me into. simply
Right.
because I was limiting myself the time before, and that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to limit yourself
Right.
in that kind of predicament. So yeah.
Yeah. What advice has anybody given you in terms of getting to where you want to be at with music or acting? Like, what advice has somebody given you that you take?
Just do it. That's the first advice that I've always gotten. Just do it. And if you want to be good at it, my mother told me. I remember the first time. Well, no, wait, the second time. The second time that we talked about it before, I think I was like 21. Yeah. I think I was 21. And at the time, she was like, if you want to do it, you gotta be the best at it. Like, and when she said this, she was like, I'm not saying that you have to like rip out the competition, but you want to make sure you let everyone know that you really care about this kind of passion. So when she said be the best at it, she means you want to study it better than anybody. You want to know where it came from, where it's going, what people are doing with it, who's doing the right things with it, why is that going right for them, who's doing the wrong things with it, why is it going wrong for them. You want to look at things and play with it. You really want to know what you're doing. You want to. I think. Damn, who says it? I forget who says it, but like, you want to perform like an amateur but study like a pro. Basically, is what she was saying. You want to know everything you possibly can learn about it. And even when you think you know everything, there's still a lot to know. I think I'm gonna write a book on my mom's sayings, because my mom has said like a bunch of things in my life that, like, when I look back on that, I was like, dang, my mom was dropping gems. But I remember like one time I was telling her, I was like, I want to know everything in the world, like everything there is to know in the world. And she was like, that's gonna be I think she said like something like that's gonna be a lost cause. I was like, why? And she was like, by the time you know everything in the world, everything would have already changed. So you'll forever be behind, because everything is always changing and moving.
Right.
And so that's so like that's the best advice my mom has ever gave me. Everything else from other people, when they were like vicariously giving me advice, I would say just put it out there and don't hide from your own identity. There are people that won't really like what you do. There are people who won't really think it's any good. Excuse me. Don't choose out of fear. Choose out of love. We live in practicality. I'm saying it wrong. Practicality a lot, and we should never do that. We should always reach for and stretch for things that we often believe it's not even reachable, or like doable. And even if we think to ourselves that we can't really do it, don't say that out loud. Like, lie to yourself if you have to keep pushing, because it's very possible if you keep doing it. Don't let the world tell you that you're ready yet, because you don't need the world's permission for that. The world has told many beautiful artists of all kinds of walks of life that they weren't ready, and they believed the world and stayed where they were, and never moved forward until they thought until it was too late. And for some people, it's even like it's like ultimately too late, when you can't even do what you want to do anymore, or you unfortunately have an untimely demise, or you've waited for so long that your entire life has passed you, and you thought that you wasn't ready yet. So don't do that. Be prepared for people that will not really want to hear what you have going on. So just move to the next spot over and do it there. I know one thing for me, for some stuff that I want to do, I always have the hesitation of not knowing how my family will take. Like, when I think about my music and what I want to do with it now, because now in my head it stretches to all kinds of forms. There are all kinds of things I want to do with music now. It's not solely R&B anymore. I want to do all kinds of stuff with it, and then even with what I want to express and how I want to express it, these things will come off a bit disturbing to some of my family members. And so when I do that, I often think to myself like, am I sure I want my grandmother to see this or my aunt to see this? Like, it might judge me. My mom is different. My mom, I'm comfortable with my mom. My mom will, whatever my mom says, I'll always like take it in love anyway. But like,
right.
with my grandmothers, And my aunt is always like, what are they gonna say when they see this? How am I gonna be judged by them? And I used to right now I'm still trying to like work myself out of that hesitation of not doing it because I don't want them to like look at me weird or like talk about me weird or even like not like what I've have because it's just what they didn't expect to come out of me. So um, that's also something important that we have to learn because they're people too, and they have subjective thoughts as well. So I mean, what they think is good music to them, and if you don't fit it, or what a good movie is, or a good poem is, or a good act of activism, or a good act of anything. So you know, take that in when you're doing this too, so that way you don't limit yourself. Whatever you can do to not limit yourself, because you can do all kinds of things, become all kinds of like identities and personas through these outlets, and that's what it's here for. To you know to 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 do these things. It's interesting when you look at again Michael Jackson and how the person you see sitting in the interviews, not the person you see on stage. Like he's a completely different person, and it's with that it was shown, and then even through his years of like changing up his style, that you can take on different things. You don't have to stay the same the entire time. You can do whatever you want to do. And that's the one thing I love about growth when it comes to certain artists. They don't stay in the same lane all the time. They always change up their things. My biggest example of that was when Childish Gambino put out "Awaken My Love," and at first nobody was feeling it because it was like he's singing the entire time. What is that?
Right.
Everyone loved because of the internet, and I love because of the internet too. But I love "Awaken My Love" is more because it was a complete 360, which is weird because didn't Drake do the same thing? But somehow Donald Glover's getting the heat for this. I didn't get that, but like he did something completely different. It was a complete separate identity, and I loved it. It was great. And even now, him going from the character he was and the character he played, and because of the internet, to this hobo now that like does music and like is like so good at doing it. I love it. I love it. I love it entirely. It's great, and that's what you want. Like you're not again. Don't limit yourself because you can do whatever you want to do. You could go from doing a Martin Scorsese film to doing like an Edgar Wright film. You can't. Nothing stopping you from doing it.
Right.
It's fine. It's all what you want to do. It's about your expression as an artist. I think someone else said it as well. I can't remember who. I'm messing up on like not remembering quotes because I love quotes. But someone had said, I think the most dangerous thing you can do to yourself as an artist is not express in all forms and fashion that you feel. If you feel like you wanna piss off some white people, do it. If that's how you feel right now, do it. Like you have that's your privilege and your entitlement as an artist, so do it. So that was a lot to your question, but yeah.
No. Hey, look, it's fine. Look, this is not a time like okay, you must give it a short answer, man. No. It's part of a PE Slick. Ranger Matt as your host, man. Look, I don't discredit people for giving long answers. Answer it to the best of your ability from the bottom of your heart, and we'll take it from there, bro. You did already kind of answer my one question. 'Cause I was going to say, what advice would you give somebody coming out? But you kind of gave that response. Unless you want to add something to that, because that was my next question to you. What advice would you give somebody that's coming out in the acting business, singing business? So I did love your answer though. Just do it and go for it. Because there are people out there who, they have talent, and I think that's something that you should pursue, as you were saying, when you know you have it, because anything in life, anything can happen. It's a shame when people don't get the chance to pursue that because it's too late, they're older, or might meet their early demise out of nowhere, and it's like, if you got it, you got to pursue it. What is the plan for Chris Burns for 2020?
I don't know if anyone has like coined this yet, but whenever someone says 2020, my first image is a clear vision. So I don't know why, and maybe I'm trying to make a joke or something whenever I think that, or like I subconsciously like try trying to make a joke, but I want for some reason I want to like go into the 2020 with with clear vision of what I want to do. Even if it doesn't make sense, it's clear that that to me that this has to happen. I know I want to say the same thing I said to myself at the beginning of 2019. I'll say to myself at the beginning of 2020, which is I don't I don't want to be in the same place I was at the beginning of the year toward the end of the year. I
Right.
want to I want to consistently go after change and consistently go after development, consistently go after these things that I want to do. I don't even if it's short lived, and by short lived it could be like a month, whatever it is. I don't want to. I don't want any of these ideas that I have in my head, any of these ideas that I'm playing with to go unnoticed and go unexecuted, because who knows what they'll inspire, and that's the life of an artist. Like not everything we touch is gold. Not everything we touch or play with becomes the best thing ever. It's all trial and error. Even Michael Jackson had songs that didn't do so well. Not to me, of course, but like to some people, like it didn't like really do so well. Or songs that kind of stayed in the studio. He was just like, yeah, I'm not feeling that. We can just keep it here. And so, but that's the trial and error. That's the trial and error of an artist. So I want to make sure that I push myself to make sure I execute all of the things that I want to do from stories. I now want to do everything now. So I want to get into photography. I want to get into writing, creative writing, whether it's stories, maybe a movie.
Hmm.
Who knows? Because like that's a tall tale. Because when I think about movies I want to do or even shows I want to write about, I think about those psychological twisters like Get Out or Us
Right.
or now Joker or Black Mirror. I like those kinds of things that like really make you think, and it just like gives you it's like a good well rounded story, and I love that. I want to get into photography. I want to start drawing now. All kind of things that I want to do, and even with these thoughts in my head, I tell myself again, I don't want it to go on. I don't want it to go on unexecuted. I want to see what happens when I push myself forward, and open more doors for myself to express whatever I want to do. I know it's a lot, and unfortunately, when it comes to that kind of thought, people always say, but those you really become like a jack of all trades and a master of none. But I want to challenge that notion, or challenge that quote, and see if I can become a master of all, or at least very good at them all, at least. I know some I will become a master of all, but like I won't really become master of everything else that I do. But I still want to try. I still want to strive and see what happens. And I know on top of that, I want to perform as much as self love through self discipline on myself. I discovered, I want to say last month in September, that it's very easy to simply just um, you know do whatever you want to do, which is a lesson that I always love to relearn every now and again. Is that you can do whatever you want to do. It's one of the best things you can relearn, and the scariest things you can relearn. Because when you learn it and you let it seep within you, you begin to look around you, and you begin to say to yourself, like, so I guess I am where I am right now because of what I've done or didn't do, or how I think, or how I don't think. And so with that in mind, I want to start making sure that there's no way I can like get forward, move up and go forward unless I perform self discipline on myself, which means if I have to read more and watch TV less, I have to do that. I have to like push myself to work out more versus like sitting in the bed and taking another nap. Then I'll do that. I have to put myself out there on whatever playing field and or platform to get some more exposure and get some more experience. Then I have to do that. This won't really, because like people have what are they called? I can't remember what they're called, but whatever. So when people are doing their thing, like whether they have their business, and they have like I guess it's a mentor, that like that keeps them in check. That tells them, hey, you can't go off too far to the right because you have to like keep yourself forward. You have to keep practicing, keep doing whatever to keep yourself on the ball so that you can continue to be sharp every single time.
Right.
Right now, I have to be that for myself, and so I have to make sure I keep on myself to keep up with the productivity so that I can get myself and work myself into those professional landscapes. Because like if someone dropped me now into any kind of professional realm, sure I could do it, but I'd probably fall behind because I didn't practice it before, and practicing only comes from self discipline. It can't like that quote that goes, you gotta think and behave like a boss before you actually become a boss or an entrepreneur or a leader, whatever that is. I'm basically saying practice before the money comes, and then when the money comes, like you're already a pro at doing this mentally, so you got more arms and more legs and more resources because now you got the money, now you got a team under you or behind you now, but your mindset is clear because you practiced this before things started popping off and like becoming what they are, and so that's something that I can't really I can't wait to do. I mean, I'm doing it now, but I mean like as we go into 2020, which is the beginning of a new decade. It's the beginning of a new decade. So that means like that begins to question right now, where do you want to be at when we are going from 2029 into 2030? So I'm not really thinking more so about the end of 2020. I'm thinking far ahead now into 2029. Right. Where do I want to be at? What do I want to do? What do I want coming up? How do I want to like change my life, change people around me? That's kind of like I've never when I thought about it that way, it then became bigger than me, more serious, more intense, because there are tons of things that I want that I want to do that will take almost maybe the decade as the next decade that we're walking into. So with that being said, it's time to get things moving and get things rolling, because how else am I going to make this happen? I don't want to keep talking about it forever, and then I just like nothing ever happens. To the point now where I kind of like don't want to talk. I never want to tell anyone about anything I'm doing. Right. I kind of want it to speak for itself. I don't want it to be like, because then I feel like I'm begging whenever I do that. So yeah, I want my actions to speak for themselves.
Right. Well, Chris, I appreciate the chance you gave to come out and be a part of my podcast, and you gave a lot of good inspiration, messaging, good quotes for the future. You seem to have a bright future ahead of yourself, and I'm sure people who know you will follow you in what you say, and people that don't know you will definitely want to pay attention to you, because you got a lot of talent and a good future ahead of yourself. And I definitely
thank you.
I definitely thank you for taking the time to come out and be a part of my podcast. And we'll be back in just a moment for a throwback commercial. This is the Taz commercial that Chris Burns was a part of, and he narrated. Here's a clip.
Taz, you wear them. They enterprise you. They make you look sexy.
And we're back with PE Slick Podcast. Once again, Chris Burns, thank you for taking the time to come out and being a part of the podcast. I hope I can have you back down the line, and we'll go again from there.
Yeah. I hope so as well, and I hope now that this is like on a recorded platform, that the next time I'm on, I can tell you, or say to whoever's listening, that I actually did perform and do those things that I wanted to do. So this is me keeping myself accountable for things that I've said that I wanted to do. So hopefully the next time I've actually done these things and I'm pushing forward.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah, look, I got faith in you, and I know things are gonna come around for you, man. Because as we enter 2020, a new decade, as you said, spacing forward to what's gonna come for 2029 and 2030 is gonna be big for you, man. I got plenty of hope and praise for you guys. Chris, thanks for coming aboard my podcast. And guys, as a closing, remember, advance yourself to advance others. Keep God first and be your best inspiration. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. This is Ranger Matt signing out for PE Slick Podcast. Thank you. Have a good night.